Here we go. This is my chat yesterday with Gabrielle from Dead Letter Chorus from Sydney. Gabrielle, how are you going?
I'm very well. How are you?
Very good, yeah. Yeah, you're way across the country in Toronto there. You've just played Canadian Music Week.
Yeah, just did some showcasing for CMW, so it was an amazing week. There's a few Australian artists that came over as well to do it. Sally Seltman and Fergus Brown and Children Collide and Kate Miller-Heike. It was amazing to hang out with good friends and good musicians and to check out all the other bands from over the world. But,
yeah. I guess there's not as many events like that in Australia that really draws that many, concentrated bands.
I mean, just the sheer scale of it. I mean, so many venues, hosting these nights, different showcasing, and it was just kind of so overwhelming to look at a program and be like, well, there's just like 6 things I want to see tonight, but I can only go to 2 of them. I mean, it's so great to have something like that.
Oh, it's a great opportunity for you. And I'm just curious how the Canadian connection came into place. There's been quite a history of Australian bands coming here, and often there's a story about how they kind of made that happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, our story is very, very unique, I'm sure, because our manager actually, he brings out a lot of Canadian acts, such as Matthew Barber and Jill Barber and Hey Rosetta, and he tours them around Australia. And we kind of, got to know them, and our manager just, knew their managers and thought, maybe I could bring my band over here. And we ended up hooking up with some people at the East Coast Music Awards as well, doing a Sydney Meets Sydney exchange program.
Oh, wow.
So with 2 Hours Traffic, a band from Charlottetown.
Yeah.
PEI, and so we've been touring with them for the past 2 weeks through Ontario and Quebec, and we played Lee's Palace last night, and it's just been amazing. I mean, there's just, how we got here has just been so many people kind of getting their heads together to get us over here, and it's just been, amazing.
Wow, that's very exciting. And so the tour is still crossing the country. But I just wanted to actually go right back to the start. For new listeners of the band, you started yourself out in the Sydney independent scene. How did that all come together and the forming of the band?
Yeah, well, it was quite funny actually. The Cameron, the lead singer in our band, and our drummer and guitarist Michael and Lee, they were playing in rock bands around the Sydney scene, and I was a big fan of their music, and I followed them around, and I'd be their merch girl, and and then I ended up kind of wanting to start a band with these guys and start doing something a little bit different. It sort of started as a bit of a side project, as these guys were in other bands, and then it started to take over everything because it was very kind of different what we were doing. We were doing more like a folky kind of, folk rock kind of thing that wasn't really being explored much in Sydney, and people started to get a bit of an interest in it. So, and that was 3 years ago. So, yeah, we've kind of really evolved since then, and we've gained a new bass player in the past 6 months, Tristan, and he's really, he's bringing so much to the band as well. So we're continuously evolving, I guess. So.
Yeah. It is exciting because I do know, your style is different from the typical Sydney style. It's that sort of Detroit-influenced garage rock that's been strong in Sydney for many, many years. And a band like yours is a real sort of gem. Your sound definitely sticks out. Yeah,
we found that. It came to a point where we couldn't really go any further in Sydney and Melbourne. We played quite a lot and toured a lot, and that's why we really wanted to get to Canada, because so many Canadian musicians that had come to Australia and heard us play, they're like, you should come to Canada. You might have a fun time and meet some musicians that you like, and it was we've just really, the response we've got here has been mind-blowing, to say the least. Like, Canadian people are just so into their music and into folk rock, and it's just so nice.
Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely amazing.
Yep.
Well, Vancouver listeners are going to be hearing you very soon, the Railway Club, on the 6th.
Tuesday night.
Absolutely. So we've already played a couple of songs in the last few weeks, Down in Your Valley, and also I think The Long Good Night we've played.
Oh, great.
And we'll definitely play some more songs today. And listeners will note a real key feature of your song is just the incredible harmonies that you do with Cameron. And I'm curious, do you have any specific musical icons or heroes of yours that have really influenced you, and that harmonic, the two-person playing off each other? Any two people, I guess, that come to mind as inspirations?
Well, the thing, when we first started doing it, I mean, people would often come up to us and go, you know, you've got a real Carter Cash kind of vibe going, but I mean, we don't really think about we have our own individual influences, but when we come together, it's just purely what comes from our voices and what suits the song. And I mean, we have, our influences are very broad, and they're not specifically guy-girl combos that influence us. Like I mean, it's very interesting that we don't really have like a real kind of influence to the way that we interact with our vocals, but they just sort of come like that. It's just very organic and natural.
Very flexible and spontaneous. Yeah. Well, and listeners will be able to hear exactly what we're talking about very shortly. And just a curiosity, the name of your band, Dead Letter Chorus, I couldn't help but notice that there's a song on a UMI album called Dead Letter Chorus, the Hourly Daily album. I know you've played with Tim Rogers, and I was wondering how much of an influence him and his band are as well.
Yeah, well, more so for Cameron and Michael, the two guys in our band. Cameron has been a UMI fan since he was, a little kid. I mean, that album, Hourly Daily, is Cameron's favourite Australian album of all time. And when we were thinking about the name for our band, we were thinking, Dead Letter Office kind of vibe. And then one night Cameron was just sort of listening to his iPod, and it just sort of popped up, Dead Letter Chorus, and we thought, I mean, UMI, one of Cameron's biggest influences as well, and such a great band, and Tim Rogers such a great, great songwriter, and it really kind of reflects what we're all about as well, like the chorus of, unspoken kind of words and emotions, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Definitely. I haven't featured UMI too much here yet, but I plan to devote a bit more time. Is there a song you'd like me to play from any of their albums? Any other favourite of yours?
Maybe. Is it Hourly Daily? Is that the actual? Is there a title?
I
track
think that's
for that album.
Yeah,
that one. I like that one.
Okay. Yeah, we can play that. And of course, and from your album, the August Magnificent, is there any track there specific you'd like the audience to hear before the gig?
Maybe Magnolia Farm. It's a good track that has the guy-girl vocal vibe, and it's a fun pop kind of alt country tune. So yeah. Oh,
great.
Give that a whirl.
Okay, so Gabrielle, so thanks so much. Is there anything else you'd like listeners to know about the gig coming up, what they can expect?
Well, we have a very good friend in Vancouver called Dan Mangan, which I'm sure everybody is either a huge fan or knows of him. And he may be making a special guest appearance on stage with us at the Railway. Oh. So that's a little bit of an announcement to make.
Okay.
But he's just an amazing musician, and he might come up and sing some tunes with us on stage, and so. Oh,
excellent, Dan Mangan.
That'll be good. Yeah, okay. Dan Mangan.
Yep. Well, that is going to be the Railway Club on the 6th of April. So, listeners, definitely Dead Letter Chorus are one of the most remarkable bands to be playing in Australia and outside Australia now, of course, here in North America, and you'll be very fortunate to be able to see them. So, thanks very much, Gabrielle. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Matthew.
Oh, that's no problem.